Welcome to the Business Leaders Legacy Podcast, the show where we go behind the scenes of business leaders to uncover their vision, strategies, and challenges they face along the way. My name is Chris Bruner. I'm the CEO of Simple AI Solutions and the host of today's podcast. I'm excited to have Warren Fiihr, firm owner of Action Coach Sugarland. Warren is known for leading a team of certified business and executive coaches, helping driven business owners and leaders significantly increasing profits, improving operating efficiencies, and building management teams for greater freedom, backed by Action Coach's 17-week guarantee. And so, Warren, thank you for being here. I'm excited to jump in and understand more about you and your business and your journey. Can you please share a little bit about you and your journey and what Action Coach Sugarland does?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, Chris. My journey. Let's see. That's a loaded question. I'll give you the short version. I was in television advertising. Then I ran a television station. I was 39 years old in Roanoke, Virginia, NBC affiliate. Then we got recruited to go work for Comcast, and I ran their advertising organization, local advertising, TV ads, streaming, et cetera, for Sacramento and Fresno. And then they asked me to come here and fix Houston during Hurricane Harvey, actually. So pretty interesting.
Oh,
Yeah. So, seen some weather, seen some country, lived all over the country, and started this firm about 3 years ago.
yeah. Yeah, no, well, thank you for yeah, definitely the journey. That's awesome. And so to dive into it a little bit more, I want to know, you have a proven track record of expanding sales team and marketing organizations, even led to a Peabody Award-winning TV station, like you mentioned. And so what makes you so passionate about now coaching business owners to increase their profit and efficiency?
That's great. Yeah. So, you see business owners that are stuck, and they get stuck at a certain level. And the level can be 500,000 revenue or a million or 10 million or 100 million. Um, and what really holds them back there's probably three main things. Number one is they need more sales. So that's everything: profit, scripting, unique value proposition, follow up, KPIs, KPAs, et cetera. Number two is team, finding and recruiting and retaining and growing the right team members and culture. And the last one is time. So as you grow and scale,
Mm.
the business owner can sometimes constrict the business by not being able to delegate, time management, that kind of stuff. So those are kind of the top three. And I guess what really, I've seen a lot of business owners be successful, and I've also seen a lot that weren't successful. And we have our kind of mission statement is world abundance through business reeducation. So the idea is to get real way to grow the world and make it a better place is to help business owners survive, not just survive, but thrive. And then they spend more money in their community. They give back philanthropically. They build this generational wealth, and they have a lot of fun. So it's super addictive, and it's fun. It's so fun to see people succeed.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. It's really cool how the just those core principles really make up like the drive behind it. And so, yeah, no, that's awesome. Action Coach offers this, on your website and even looking through like your LinkedIn profile, it mentions, the 17-week guarantee for clients, right, to get their investments back with profit. Right. And so can you explain the core principles and strategies within that tailored coaching approach in the program that allows you to make this that bold promise?
Yeah, it's great so far. So it's 17 weeks. We're gonna get your ROI on your coaching plus some, hopefully, or we work for free until we do. And thank God I haven't ever had to work for free yet. So that's the good thing. But so what we do is we do a couple hours of work up front, and we go through, we look under the hood of the business and see what's going on in there and see if there's things that we think we can tweak and that we can work on together to get that ROI. And if we identify those areas, we find them, then we'll go ahead and move forward with the program and get our sleeves rolled up and go to work.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's exciting. That's cool. That's really interesting. There is so much I feel like that goes on, within like the coaching consulting side. What are some common challenges you see business owners facing today, right? And how does Action Coach offer a different way to solve them?
Yeah, so what I like about Action Coach and the reason I bought this franchise is it's been around 32 years, 84 countries, coach I think 15,000 businesses every week. So proven systems and processes over time. And I think the kind of the secret sauce that has really made it work is, I've run large teams of over 100 people since I was 39 years old, and I've also seeing the good stuff from corporate, because corporate has a lot of systems and processes and things that are actually good. And so smashing that together with all the Action Coach materials, I think is a powerful sort of 1, 2, 3 punch. And that's what's really made it successful. So, but it can be anything. That's kind of the identification process. So like I have a lady, she's got a Goddard school, and they, they're doing well, but they're like, when I looked at their system, it's like they were getting a lot of people that were going to come in, they'd get, say, 20 leads a month, and they would get 6 people in to do tours, and 4 of them would turn into students. So what we figured out is we gotta have a better conversion ratio of lead to tour. So the
Hmm.
next month, we had 20 leads, 10 tours, 6 students. And if you do that every month, now you've got higher profitability. And
Yeah.
then, let me see, let me give you another example. We have a CPA firm, for instance, and they have a good thing about CPA firms are they have a high billable hour per rate for rate. That didn't really make sense. A high billable rate per hour. There, I'll try it again. I got it this time. Anyway, but the we really had never identified, or they had never really identified what good looks like. So, average, CPA, person, if they're doing tax, senior tax strategist should do about 1,300 hours, uh, a year in billable time. Well, you gotta tell the employees that first, and then you gotta start to measure how much billable time they are getting. And,
Mm.
I'll just say there's a lot of room for improvement there, but part of it's just communicating what the if you're playing football, you know where the end zone is, you know where the sidelines are, you know what plays you can run, and you know what's illegal and what you're gonna get a flag thrown for. But oftentimes in businesses, we haven't even told our people what great looks like. So sometimes it's those seem sometimes those are simple things. We have these things that are called BFOs, blinding flashes of the obvious, because a lot of times it's just coming in with this perspective from the outside and looking and asking good questions to come to a conclusion on, what we need to do differently.
Yeah, no, that is so important, and that is really interesting. That's really cool. It definitely sounds like super impactful, right? It's so easy, when you're in the midst of, running a business and just a lot, wearing multiple hats, trying to make everything flow, right? That sometimes just having that third party, that outside, someone to come in and view and see, like, makes a huge difference, and that's really cool. Especially especially in today's market, right? And thinking about more of today, right? There's new stuff coming out all the time. And so I wanted to ask a little bit about, trends. And so are there any new trends or technologies that you're seeing in the business, coaching, or leadership development industry that are changing the way coaches work with clients and how business achieves growth?
Yeah, I think the real question, that everybody's asking is how do we implement AI into our business, right? And so that can be, I think people have, there's people that have just done basic things, and then there's people that have implemented it for lead generation, to build systems, or to have systems that talk to each other, et cetera. That's probably the biggest thing. So people are like, well, maybe I can just have AI be my coach. Yeah, that's not really going to work.
No.
It's cute and all.
No.
So
Yeah.
I guess that's probably the biggest thing. But it's how to get everybody's trying to figure out how to become more efficient. right? Because if
Yeah.
we can become more efficient, then we can throw more money to the bottom line, or we have more time freed up to even just go have fun or actually invest back into the business.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense, right? There's definitely a lot of it's very interesting, a lot of the things coming up with AI and how it's getting applied in so many different ways, right? But AI to, being in the field and running an AI agency, right? A lot of people, they try to like think like, oh, this AI tool will solve this problem. And they just kind of throw the tool at it and it has the potential to solve it, but you gotta have like the right type, like you gotta still keep that like human touch when you need to keep the human touch, right? There's so important, right? And then you also have to use it in the correct way, right? It
Mm.
doesn't just it's not a magical wand just solves all your problems, right? But when it's applied in the right way, it definitely can be impactful. And so yeah, that's yeah, I think you definitely had a great point there. I wanted to shift a little bit and talk about how things are going within your business. And so, what's working really well at Action Coach right now?
Well, our level of success has been amazing. Once we get a client, we can definitely figure out ways to grow their business. And then, and I've been blessed because I've got a lot of really good clients that are just great people, and we really partner together to get down and get some stuff happening. That's that's what's so super addictive about this thing is that we can just we can do the work and they're going to see results, and that to me is like I don't know. It's hard to. I like get paid. I like to get paid, but that makes it a lot, that makes it a really gratifying job. So,
Yeah.
and I would say, usually there's some tweaks you can do to get the top line up a little bit. Either, a little bit better conversion rate, better unique value proposition, better follow-up, better scripting in sales, and then really identifying the key activities that are moving the needle. Um, and even looking at their advertising and doing some tweaks with their advertising, not necessarily spending more money, but really getting a level of accountability if they're using an advertising agency or whatever that is to make sure that we're squeezing everything we can out of
Yeah.
their advertising investment.
Yeah, no, and that's huge. That's really important. On the flip side of that, every business goes through challenges. I'm wondering if you could share maybe a past challenge at Action Coach and that you've overcome, and what did you learn through that experience?
Oh, that's a good question. Uh, I think it's everybody when they, and I think probably even more so in the franchise world. Like you buy this franchise, and it doesn't have to be Action Coach. It can be anything, painting franchise, cleaning, whatever. And they tell you about the one dude that did the one thing the one time and it really kicked butt, and that was awesome. But the reality is, most people, when they buy a franchise, or start a business, it's going to take twice as long. It's going to take twice as much money. And it's going to be twice as hard. So building up what I had to do when I started, because I had in Houston here is, I mean, I had a whole bunch of people working under me, and I had to really just go build a network. And that you just don't do that in 60 days. That takes a long time. And I now that I'm there, I'm actually getting some referrals from other B2B companies and my clients as well. So you can see how that snowball effect could really start to happen. But that first 6 months or a year is a pretty tough grind. I guess I could have thrown a bunch of money at it and maybe I could have gone faster through client acquisition. But yeah. Yeah, building a network is a critical piece of business success today.
Yeah, no, that is so important. And it's yeah, and it speaks volumes now, right? As it's like continuing just to pay off, as it's building and as more connections are made and more referrals and all that kind of stuff. That's really cool. I wanted to know, are you facing any current challenges, right? Any current
Mm.
problems you're facing, any like bottlenecks that you're figuring out or anything that's taking up too much time or anything like that?
Well, that's the thing too. Networking does take time. So then you've got to figure out, and I'm at the point, thank God, where I've got quite a few clients. So now you got to figure out, okay, how do I scale? Do I stay where I'm at? Do I figure out another way to generate leads where I don't have to go out and network?
Mm.
Do I hire somebody? So there's going to come a point here, hopefully fairly soon, where I have to make some of those decisions, because you only have so many hours in a day. Or, or the other thing you can do is raise your rates, right? Those are your choices. But that's the right problem you want to have. But I would say, uh, definitely, the challenge everybody's always looking for is how do I get more qualified leads in
Yeah.
my pipeline.
Yeah, no, and that totally makes sense. And it's yeah, figuring out how to scale is, such an important piece, especially when you get to that point where things are going well, but it's like how to push to that next level, right? And so I do want to like kind of dive into that a little bit more and talk about the future and where you're heading. Looking ahead, maybe like the next 6 months to a year, what's a goal you're focusing on achieving within your business?
Well, my plan is, by the end of the year, I want to double my business again. And I think that that is a very doable goal if I stick to my plan. We do for our clients, we do a 13-week uh, planning session every quarter, and I do my own as well. So I literally look at that thing every day to make sure I'm on task to hit the goals I need to hit, do the activities I need to do to grow. And once I double it at the end of the year, then I've gotta figure out, okay, can I do 50% more the next year, or what does that look like, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's awesome. That's the way to do it, right? To have clear mindset, goals in line, right? And to just stay focused. I feel like I hear it all the time where people, you can grind for 12, 13-hour days, right? But like often like if you're just focused, like a focused 6-hour day gets more done typically
Mm.
than like just like grinding constantly and so yeah, no, that's really interesting. That's really cool.
That's
Uh,
a that's a good point. I have this conversation quite a few times, like, do you know how it is, like, the day before you're going on vacation, you get all this work done? And that's because you're super focused, right? And you don't let any of the BS distract you. You're just all in, you knock a whole bunch of things out. And I think I'm confident that, scheduling, having a calendar and scheduling time in your calendar and then not taking calls during that time, not doing any other emails, but just sticking with the task at hand, you just get way more done. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, yeah. No, it definitely sounds like that's what you're doing. And so yeah, to talk a little bit more about that, right? To reach that next level of growth, would you mind sharing a little bit like what your plan is? Are there specific investments, new staff or tools or strategies you're putting in place to be on that track?
Yeah, so, um, if I've got my plan pretty much memorized, but, number 1, I have a bunch of things that my, person that works with me, Rebecca, is automating. So figuring out anything we can automate, any kind of workflows or whatever to save time. Um, and then really honestly just delegating more things to her. So she's become a bigger part of the organization. And and then if I do 2 to 3 networking events every week, that will turn into X amount of, we call them diags, but diagnostics on businesses, and that will lead to Y amount of clients. So I just need to stick to that plan every week, and then I gotta do all the other stuff as well, right? So there's that, but that's sort of the default, activity mechanism or lever that I know if I pull that lever, I will, I'll hit my numbers. Then the other thing I'm doing, of course, is I keep testing different other outreach methods or, like this, like your podcast, things like that that we can do to uh stay out there, stay present, and get more leads in the funnel.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because that's what it's all about. Right. And yeah, no, that makes sense. Are there specific as you're, have this plan in place and you're, executing and doing those daily tasks, are there any specific challenges that you that you feel like still need to be solved to reach that growth?
Well, I haven't found a foolproof way to get predictable, leads in the door yet. So, a lot of people have made a lot of promises, and, everybody's a digital marketing expert until you hand them a few thousand bucks and ask them for leads, and then they said then there's like, they get really quiet, and they're like, "Well, it worked last time." "Okay. Sure it did." So, I'm still looking for that secret sauce of outreach, but I feel like it's worthwhile to continue to test different methods to do that,
Yeah.
and there is I think, I hear a lot of people talking right now about cold email with AI assist, and I think there's probably something there,
Mhm.
but I don't I'm testing some of that right now. That's a
Yeah,
long answer
yeah,
to your
yeah.
question.
No, that totally makes sense. Yeah. No, there's definitely a lot of strategies out there, and there's definitely a lot of it's like I feel like especially in the AI realm, there is
Mm.
so much coming out all the time. It's like new tools and new this and new that and strategy here and strategy there and yeah, it is difficult to navigate, but yeah, figuring it out and getting dialed in and right can definitely make a difference. And so, yeah, no, that's an exciting place to be though. Just hearing about, the goals and the vision and where you're heading. I'm like excited to see, just how, everything will start piecing together and reaching that goal, that ambitious goal of, 2x in 1 year. And so yeah, that's awesome. Warren, I've really appreciated our conversation today, and I think a lot of the insights you brought and just sharing your perspective and your story and your business, I think has been awesome. And so I've really appreciated it. Before we go, could you share with our listeners a little bit more where they can find out about Action Coach Sugarland and just, learn about your programs and stay involved with what you got going on?
Yeah, so you can follow me on LinkedIn, Warren Fiihr, F2I's HR. I also have a podcast called Fear Factor. So again, F2I's HR. So take a look at that. But yeah, Action Coach Sugarland. We're really sweet down here in Texas. So living in Sugarland, you can find us on the website. Um, yeah, check it out. Check out Action Coach in general, and you can get a lot. There's a lot of stuff out there because obviously an organization that's been around that long has some history, and you'll see a lot of good reviews. I've got a lot of client testimonials, and I love talking to businesses. So yeah, anytime I can talk to a business owner, we might solve a problem. It might turn into a deal, it might not, but it's just fun learning about all these different kinds of businesses.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, Warren, to close, I would like to ask one last question, right? Since this is the Business Leaders Legacy podcast, and you being the business leader owner of Action Coach Sugarland, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
Yeah, I that's a good question. I think that in my past, I've I've coached a lot of people. I've coached a lot of people now. In my past, I led a lot of people, and I like to watch college football, and a sign of a good college football coach is they built a bunch of other coaches that went out and did successful things. So I don't know whether that's a Bob Stoops or a Mike Leach, or there's a lot of these guys that have coached a lot of coaches that are now super successful. Obviously, Nick Saban would be one of those too. So what I like to leave is first of all, I would like to, have that kind of legacy, like, wow, they built a lot of leaders that really did great things. Um, and then sort of my goal, I'll tell you this, my goal when I started this thing was to get this thing cooking and have it, where I can just coach and I don't have to run it all the time, but I can still coach businesses. And then I want to buy one more business, and then have the profits of that go to charity. So that's
Mm.
my real goal. I'll try to do that in 3 years. I'm not gonna hit it in 3 years, so maybe now it's a 3-year goal, now it's a 5-year goal, but that's my real kind of other thing I wanna get done.
Yeah, that is honorable. That is really cool. Well, thank you so much, Warren. I really appreciate it. To all of our listeners out there, thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed our conversation, please subscribe, share, like. We appreciate it. And we will see you all next time.
Cheers, Chris. Enjoyed it.